Well, Dustin Johnson finished the job in Mexico. Rich Lerner alongside Brandel Chambly and Billy Kratzer. He did what the great ones do, Brandel. He found a way to get the W.
It was such a snooze fest, really. I mean, the #1 golfer in the world came out and won. What's the surprise in that? I mean, honest to goodness, this one had us all on the edge of our seats from start to finish. Really hard to predict this, but what a week it was.
It certainly was. And you know, we talk about all the bunker shots, all the hold shots that were made, but I've got to tell you, the two best bunker shots I saw all week were the 15th, or was the third at the 15th for Dustin, and the fairway bunker shot at 18. Those are my two best, with everything on the line.
And Brandel looked as though it was going to be a runaway at one point, about middle of the round, and then Rahm made his charge. It brought to mind Torrey Pines winning the Farmers Insurance. Dustin backed off just a little bit, but then he asserted himself.
That reframe, Rahm made his charge. Just put that away, and you'll be ready to trot that out time and time and time again. But to echo Billy's point, the shot that Dustin hit on the last hole, the ball was so far below his feet, so easy to miss it to the right. It was that partial yardage, so easy to hit it fat. The last hole, so easy to misjudge it. He couldn't tell you how precise he had to be on that. A little trap draw hook with the ball below his feet. The last hole, it was just marvelous.
Yeah, and the footwork, the leg work, to be so steady, so calm, to make the turn, let the arms fly down, catch the ball first, and hit it flag high, and then almost make the putt.
Fourth World Golf Championship victory. Only Tiger Woods, with a mere 18, has more than Dustin Johnson. 14th career victory for the 32-year-old standout. We have much more to come. Golf Central beginning right now.
Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Dustin Johnson's march to greatness continues in Mexico. A second straight win, his fourth World Golf Championship title, 14th victory for his career. Bit of a scare, but in the end, big fella holds on. Rich Lerner alongside Brandel Chambly and Billy Kratzer. Brandel, he arrived as the new #1. He leaves as the unquestioned #1 player in the world, Dustin Johnson.
Well, he's been sending a message since 2008, uninterrupted in that period from then to now, winning all along the way. He sent a message to the world of golf. I think this venue sent a message to the world of golf as well. 7,300 yards on the card. If you adjust for altitude, that's just 6,200 yards, showing the world of golf that dog legs, tall trees, small, interesting greens are enough to challenge the best players, and in the end, you get the best player in the world winning.
And once again, we see a Dustin Johnson at one point has the 4-shot lead. He makes a couple of bogeys at 12 and 13, but once again, unfazed. He just kind of goes to the 14th tee, makes a birdie on the par 5 15th, and then he walks it on in from there. A lot of players with 4 shots lead see it evaporate, in fact, go 1 shot behind at one point. They start to panic. Dustin Johnson, #1, nah, I'm good.
He's a cool customer, isn't he? Let's take you back to the final round. Dustin Johnson began 1 shot behind Justin Thomas. Easy does it for the big man. That's an autograph that kid's going to cherish for a long time. Here we go. Second hole, par 4. This for birdie to tie the lead.
So much talk through 3 rounds about all the putts that he had missed inside of 10 feet, but get him outside of 10 feet, and he looked like, well, the best putter you'd ever hope to see.
How's the touch right here?
This is marvelous. I mean, creativity, to be able to land it in the perfect spot like that, to wind up 7 feet from the hole, marvelous shot.
Not unreasonable. He could have chipped it in the water.
Exactly.
Birdie there and a 1-shot lead. How about Justin Thomas? He had the 54-hole lead here at the par 3-7.
Apparently the grip was slippery and the lead was slippery. He had said earlier on in the week that his shots were enough to make him want to get sick. He seemed to have righted the ship, but then today, well, it all came unglued, and it came unglued in a big way.
Double bogey, back to 10 under and 3 behind. Dustin Johnson, the putter, heating up.
Has made virtually nothing through 3 rounds, and then all of a sudden, he sees the putt go in, and a little relief right there.
It looks like he's cruising. 3-shot lead now at the 9th.
Yeah, and he just dissected this hole perfectly. He needed to drive it left center. He did. And from there, he left himself with just a beautiful iron shot and an angle to this right hole location. And as much spin as he put on it, well, he adjusted for that as well. Dead pin high, and he'd make another birdie to turn in 31.
15 under and a 4-shot lead. How about Rory McIlroy?
Well, this at the 9th, and kind of a sandy lie right there. May have caught a little bit of a divot, and that comes up short of the flagstick. Well short of the flagstick, leaving 65 feet. And still moving.
It's a frustrating day for Rory. Not nearly as good the last 2 days as he was the first couple, but in all, he'll walk away reasonably pleased given where he was. Hadn't played in over a month with a rib injury. Now, Jon Rahm, what a talent he is.
Oh, he had whistled this second shot through the limbs to this right side hole location. Took a chance, and he was rewarded for it with the biggest bird. Shades
of Torrey Pines. More on Rahm in a moment. How about Tommy Fleetwood, the Englishman who won in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, second win on the European Tour, and nice little touch right here. Just take a little off of it, squeeze it over the bunker. Another birdie for Fleetwood.
11 under and 4 back. Dustin Johnson, 12th hole, par 4. This is a par putt.
Rarely does the game or winning look easy. I mean, it is rare when they run away and hide, but you thought he would, but a bobble there.
And another right here at the par 3 13.
Yeah, this after watching 2 7-irons. He chooses an 8-iron, and you can see begging, comes up short. Fortunate it didn't plug in the face of the bunker.
That wasn't a chipped 8-iron from 220. But it is at altitude, so he drops another shot. The lead is down to 1. Here's Rahm to 14 for birdie.
Remember San Diego at the last, making it from about 60 feet? This guy is not afraid of the moment and can make putts from anywhere.
Whole different feel. Rahm's at 13 under, tied for the lead. Rahm at 15.
This is a nifty little shot right here. Little short shot, plenty of spin, brings it to a halt. That would lead to another birdie.
And for a brief moment, Jon Rahm had the lead. Dustin Johnson, par 5, 15th, greenside bunker.
Pause now to give you a moment of brilliance. This one left my partner to the left of me almost speechless. You loved it, didn't you?
I did. I thought that was just an absolutely fabulous bunker shot to maintain that steadiness. And then the ball come out with spin. Really good.
Now it gets away from Rahm beginning here at the 16th.
Well, he'd made so many clutch putts early in the round at 9 and 10 for par saves, at 13, beautiful birdie, and that biggest putt of his young career.
A great way to finish here, Tommy Fleetwood, just to give Dustin Johnson a little something to think about on 18th tee. Go ahead, Tommy, and do
that. A little music for Fleetwood.
And he takes one on the chin from his caddy right here. But he can handle it. And what a wonderful shot here to finish.
Brando.
I tell you, this is one of the best shots I've ever seen.
I mean, to hit this ball, to clip it perfectly, and watch this perfectly flag high, everything on the line, that shot could have gone anywhere.
Ball was way below his feet, could have gone way right. He could have fatted it because it was in between yards. His last hole, so easy to misjudge. Everything was precise and perfect, and his 14th win on the PGA Tour.
Winning in back-to-back starts. Remember, he cruised a couple of weeks ago at Riviera. And Dustin Johnson with a final round 68, so he goes 70, 66, 66, 68, 14 under par to win by 1. And Fleetwood announces that he'll be a factor on the world stage early in 2017 with that win in the Middle East, and now a solo second here in Mexico. And the other Englishman, we talk about the resurgence of English golf, Ross Fisher, and a nice week. Thomas now 3, 4, 5 with the 54-hole lead. He can take some solace in that he jumps to the top of the FedEx Cup standings ahead of Hideki Matsuyama. Winning in their first worldwide starts as world number 1, going back to the mid-1980s. Norman did it, Woosnam, Duval, Singh. The last to do it was Adam Scott at Colonial, and really not much of a surprise. Dustin Johnson has done it here. Well, just like Oakmont, Dustin Johnson handled the pressure. This time he did it as world number 1.
Well, it means a lot. Obviously, you know, it's a tough spot to be in. You know, there's a lot of pressures on you, and you know, I came out and I played really well. I felt like I hit the ball great all week. You know, the greens, you know, they're tough to putt on, and you know, I didn't feel like I putted my best, but I really hit the ball well, and you know, I played just well enough, I guess, because you know, I won by one.
Well, you love this guy, Brandel. He doesn't complain when it all goes wrong, and we know, going back to Whistling Straits in Oakmont, it has. He doesn't expound every week on the state of his game. The guy just plays ball.
Well, he's had more bad luck thrown his way than just about anybody that I have ever seen, and he's handled it, well, like the greatest of diplomats. And that is not always easy to do. If you were watching today, well, you saw the frustrations of this game get the better of players. Justin Thomas, so talented, but you saw it very early on, the disgust that was so palpable, not just him, not just Rory, and I'm not criticizing these players for crying out loud. When I played, and I was nowhere near the player these guys were, I got this frustrated. And this one, well, this is what happens. You get a little too carried away. Immediately, Justin knew he had gone too far there. And then, well, you see this and this again. This is letting the frustrations of the game get the better of you. And it happens so often, but it never seems to happen to Dustin Johnson. In the very first round, the first hole, he's got a very good chance to drive the green and make eagle. And what does he do? Well, on the easiest hole on the golf course, he hits it out of bounds. And it was so close to being inbounds. As a matter of fact, he had to call a rule official over. Rules official lines it up, and by an inch or two, it's out of bounds. He asked him to explain it. He asked him what his options are. And of course, not once did you hear him say an expletive. Not once did you see him shrug his shoulders or throw a club or get upset. What did he do? He turned around, he went back to the tee, he re-teed, he made a double bogey and took his medicine. Here in the third round, this is, yet again, one of the worst breaks I think I've ever seen. He's looking at it for it to come down, and it doesn't. Inexplicably, the ball gets caught in the limbs of this tree. Yep, he's having to explain to him right there. And he doesn't say, are you kidding me? He doesn't say what the, and you know what. He doesn't say any of that. He goes back and goes to work, takes a drop, and it would have been so easy for him to get upset and make a double bogey. The man plays golf like perhaps he's seen so many bad things off the golf course that he knows that there's nothing that happens on the golf course that's worthy of his scorn or worthy of his outrage or antipathy. He just goes about his business. Not that many players in the game of golf that I can remember comported themselves that way. Jack Nicklaus did, Arnold Palmer did, very few players did, and it's understandable. The game will drive you nuts. But we should laud this type of behavior.
Oh, absolutely. And who can compartmentalize what he's done? And with Dustin Johnson, with the talent, and yeah, it's easy to get frustrated out there. And we could have seen a lot of players were gesturing about the greens and the bumpiness and missing this putt, missing that putt. He just kind of went, you know, I missed it, you know, and he just kept going. He just never seems to get ruffled, and that is a quality that you have.
You think back to 4 or 5 years ago. You love baseball. I always go baseball references with you. We all have seen Bull Durham. And for the longest time, Dustin Johnson appeared to be this sport's version of Nuke LaLoosh, right? The big tees with the strong arm, but frankly, a weak head, lacking the focus and the discipline. Then he had that issue. He went away for 6 months, and he has come back same player, same talent, but just a much more disciplined and focused guy, really taking care of his business right now. He's no Nuke LaLoosh. He's more like Bob Gibson right now. He's shutting everybody down.
Well, he really is. And when you look at his body of work and you look at just how close he has come to so many major championships and the disappointments, and then to finally win at Oakmont last year, and when you wrap all of that together and the fact that now he's become #1, and there was a sketchy part of the golf tournament with him and the putter and everything, but he never lost the confidence. I never see him lose confidence. I mean, I would have been wilting out there with some of the breaks that he has gotten, you know, especially hit it in the ash tree. But he never loses that confidence in himself.
Brando, you realize, now you said a couple of years ago, I want to give you some credit, you said even before he had begun to fulfill this great potential that you thought he was headed for the Hall of Fame. You saw the talent and you were not backing down. So now that he has 14 wins in one major, he just about has what you need to make the Hall of Fame. Where do you think he's headed? Are we looking at a guy, if he stays healthy, who could win 25 or 30 out here in 3 or 4 majors?
Well, Billy and I this morning had a back and forth about Phil Mickelson, and is he a top 10 of all-time type player? Billy puts him in the top 10, and that's fair enough. I don't, not yet. Dustin Johnson's in his early 30s. That's historically when players for about 4 or 5 or 6 years get the bulk of their work done. Right. Dustin Johnson has all of the talent in the world to be in the top 20 of all time. Could he break into the top 10? Well, that's heralded. Heady company. That's 7, 8, 9 major championships. But he could certainly finish. By the end of his career, we could look back and say we have seen one of the best players of all time.
Yeah, I mean, top 20, serious stuff. I mean, you had, if I remember, you had Nick Faldo at 16, 17. I mean, if he's in that company, well, special.
Nick Faldo not only won 6 major championships, he was quietly one of the more intimidating figures in the game of golf. But one of the hardest groups to join in this game of golf is the players that hit it long and straight.
That's just what I was going to say. Not only is he a power player, he has now become a finesse player. Well, you saw that shot he hit behind the 6th green, that little bump and run, running it down there and then making birdie. You know, a lot of guys have power. It used to be that if you had power, you know, you were pretty much going to be non-exempt. And he's got power and finesse.
You know where you see that great athleticism as much as in the 360-yard drives? You see it on those bunker shots that you guys were raving about. When he settles in with all that knee flex, you see the strength in his thighs. That's where you see the athleticism as well.
I see it everywhere. I mean, you know, eons ago, when I first saw how much talent he had, how easy he was in tough situations, and how he handled the worst of situations with equanimity, those are rare. Those are rare qualities, and to your point earlier, yeah, we all want Crash Davis. We all want those quotes, but that's what the writers are for. They're the ones that put the punctuation on the accomplishment. Meanwhile, we can sit back and enjoy the accomplishment.
Absolutely. Stay with us. A lot more to get to on this edition of Golf Central. We're going to take you back to Chapultepec in Mexico City. We'll hear from the champion, Dustin Johnson. Seen that look quite a few times. About Phil Mickelson, he played alongside, I don't know if you would call him his protege, but he has great affinity for his fellow Arizona State collegiate star, John Rahm. We'll hear from Phil Mickelson, who had quite a week, and then as well, the great Inbee Park, yet another victory in Singapore at the expense of Michelle Wie. We'll tell you what happened on the LPGA Tour as we continue in just a moment.
Golf Central is brought to you by Titleist, the #1 ball at the WGC Mexico Championship. Bushnell Golf and the Tour X, slope technology when you want it, tournament legal when you need it.